That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about the first episode of a new ABC series called Superstar, which is supposed to delve into who shaped American history. And the first episode that they're dealing with is Whitney Houston.
Whitney Houston.
Which aired on August 11th, 2021, available on Hulu after that.
Yes. Do we know who they plan to feature in the subsequent episodes?
I'm sure I read it.
We don't plan on covering all the episodes. I was just interested in doing this one because huge Whitney Houston fan. Like, she shaped my 80s experience in music. Know a lot about her. Mm-hmm. Watched the two documentaries, the authorized one.
The two recent ones.
The two recent ones. The one authorized by her family that introduces the idea of molestation.
From 2018, directed by Kevin McDonald.
And then the unauthorized one.
Whitney Can I Be Me, directed by Nick Broomfield, who's a documentary I like a lot, and Rudi Dolezal, who is featured in this television documentary.
And Can I Be Me sort of introduces the idea of her Lebesianism.
Yeah, with Robin Crawford.
And then, of course, over the years, like every interview, every clip I could ever get, watching that. So I feel very well versed in Whitney. So when I saw all the advertisements for this, I'm like, what could they possibly say that we don't already know? And then, of course, they tease this idea of like never before seen footage, which I was hard pressed to find what was never before seen. I think what they're referring to is
Savion Glover's tap dancing.
No, that needs its own little portion.
That's the
We're going to talk about that separately. No, the director of Can I Be Me, who's featured in this episode, he's also given co-directing credits on this episode, right?
I don't know that.
Oh, I thought you said that.
No, I'm the documentary.
I'm mistaken. But anyway, he's in the documentary. I think the never before seen footage is like cutting room floor snippets from his documentary, because a lot of it is featured in like her like the It's Not Right But It's Okay, or My Love Is Your Love world tour. So yeah, anyway.
And we haven't seen the earlier documentary this year about Bobbi, Kristina, and Whitney. Didn't we almost have it all?
I did.
You did? Oh,
yeah.
I didn't watch that.
Yeah, it plays okay, so this feels very much like an true Hollywood story, except they have a little more money, so they can actually use some of the music. You notice the music's not quite where it needs to be, but they can afford some, and they can afford some like news files and video clips. So it feels a little elevated, but I think the journalistic quality of this piece is similar to the true Hollywood story. And then that Whitney, Bobbi, Kristina one just basically highlights her. It focuses both on like how they died, the circumstances around that, and then Nick Gordon, but again, nothing that we didn't already know.
Oh, maybe I do remember you having that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So things from this. First of all, the only thing I didn't know that I learned after watching this was apparently on the day Whitney died at the Beverly Hilton in the tub, right before she got in the tub, she had her assistant draw her the bath and then told her, go get me 2 cupcakes from Sprinkles. And that I don't recall ever hearing.
For some reason, that sounded very familiar to me.
Well, you know my memory. So then there's nothing in this documentary I haven't, or this episode I haven't heard
I
before.
didn't understand kind of the point of this at all, but the only thing that I found illuminating, besides I like seeing Darlene Love and Brandy, of course.
Well, here,
Chaka,
really
but
quickly.
The only thing I learned was I'd never seen footage of David Bowie slipping into that MTV DJ about why he doesn't play any music videos of black artists in the early 80s.
Yeah, we get a clip of Bowie digging at an MTV VJ about why there's so many great videos from black artists, but MTV doesn't want to play them.
And his excuse even was like, oh, we don't want to scare people in the Midwest.
And then Bowie's response is like, interesting.
He's like, isn't that very interesting?
And then he gives a look to the camera like,
That was the only worthwhile
That's
thing.
worth it. Okay, so some celebrities featured in the episode are Kelly Price, who's Whitney's final appearance was the night before she died at a club where Kelly Price was performing, and she got up on stage. So we get like a word from Kelly Price.
To sing Yes, Jesus Loves Me.
Whitney's favorite gospel song. We have Bebe Winans talking. We have Darlen Love, Savion Glover, who we'll get to, Brandy, who was like Whitney's #1 fan, and then Chaka Khan, who Whitney's mother sang backup for.
And Brandy acted with Whitney.
Yeah, in the Cinderella movie. But Brandy's known as being like Whitney's #1 fan. Okay, topics they cover are like Whitney's childhood growing up in the church. There's a lot of that which we've heard a million times. They also have dramatizations of Whitney as a kid, which I generally don't like that. Like if you don't have footage, don't even. But they have some little girl who looks like she has braids that are put into the ponytails Whitney was known to wear, but Whitney didn't have braids like that. So that was really distracting to me, that they did a dramatization and then did her hair funny. But anyway, we also talk about Whitney's mom, Sissy Houston, and her career and how that sort of catapulted Whitney. Clive Davis and how he discovered her, how she was like sort of primed to be like a pop artist who they wanted her to have crossover appeal, so black audiences didn't necessarily embrace her. So they talk about the famous like Soul Train Awards where she was booed.
Again, everything we've covered.
Everything
everywhere.
we already know. And then the thing that bothers me the most is we spend a lot of time talking about her relationship with Bobby Brown, and everyone's speculating on how he wasn't right for her and how he was her demise and she wasn't happy. And it's like, but every clip we have of Whitney talking about her marriage, she says she's happy.
Yeah. And also, she was doing drugs before she met Bobby. It's interesting that all of these perspectives of Whitney Houston, all of them try to focus on something else, and we don't really as yet have anything near a clear picture of her. Because I think even Angela Bassett's Lifetime documentary, the thrust of that was trying to show that Whitney was troubled before she met Bobby, because she was the one that was into coke, blah, blah, blah.
There, a famous music producer, Narada Michael Walden, he talks about how like Whitney was not like this sweet little princess. He talks about how like, New Jersey people are street people. So saying like she was kind of rough around the edges before she met Bobby, and that's probably why she gravitated towards him. But yeah, it's just like, y'all gonna learn, like when people tell you they're fine or like don't worry about my relationship, like just leave it alone. But to answer your previous question, I think also, or your comment, I think it's like people hold Whitney in like this reverie. And they don't, and it's like we can't, not we, because I don't think this way. I think that Whitney Houston was a beautiful woman with a beautiful voice who was just a person and who had her proclivities and her issues, and we expect her to be perfect when she was far from it. And then instead of letting that narrative be, like, why can't we let her narrative be the truth, but then we focus on the positive? Like, Whitney was a drug addict. Like the end, and that's what killed her. Like she suffered from cardiac arrest while in the tub after using cocaine, and she drowned. Like she was a drug addict, and it was a lifelong struggle for her once she started. But that doesn't take away from the fact that she has this amazing career with this otherworldly voice.
Yeah, we exploit the trauma, and then the continual erasure of Robin Crawford in these kind of documentaries and segments. I also find
Robin Crawford
troubling.
Is not mentioned in this.
And
Neither
she's
is
in all these background photos because she was always
a
there.
huge part of her life. Yeah, we don't get any of that. So other things they talk about, we do hear the one clip I didn't recognize, which I think came from the sort of B footage from Can I Be Me, is Whitney talking about how she only talks to Bobbi Kristina like 3 times a week when she's on tour, and how she doesn't like that and she's tired of being on tour and she wants to stop. I think that captured like a nice portrait of like probably who Whitney was during that era of her life. Like someone who just felt like she had to work because her money wasn't quite right after like The Bodyguard, because she was spending a lot of money and not working as much, and then her drug problems. So it's like she probably was, she was forced to work and leave her child. And who knows what kind of environment that child was in, if the dad was there. And, we don't really get any of that. Like sort of the true circumstances under which this woman lived. And then Brandy in particular sort of, because everyone pretended Whitney was still the voice up until the end. But I bought the album, and we saw her perform on Oprah. The voice was gone.
Sparkle.
She could barely talk. The voice was absolutely gone. But everyone pretended like it's just like when Mariah's voice was trash for a while, and everyone said, in concert she sounds better than ever. And it's like, well, we have YouTube. We can hear that it's not the same. So Brandy does say, like, she kind of admits, because Brandy was also one saying that up until the end that Whitney's voice was still beautiful. But in this episode, she says, yeah, Whitney lost her voice. So the last thing on my notes is the episode ends I don't know why Savion Glover is in this, except that he's a part of like black culture and entertainment.
Well, yeah, I guess I didn't research if he choreographed or danced, backup dance for her at some point.
I believe he may have been a part of like the I'm Every Woman. I don't know. I'm sure he must have some relation. But it's like he's not someone who's known to have a relationship to Whitney, I think. For him to be featured the most, he talks the most, and he's kind of an oddball. And then the last like few minutes of the episode is him tap dancing.
Yeah, they're weird.
Doing voiceover. That was so strange. If you do watch this episode, you should watch it for the David Bowie clip and then fast forward to the end and just like that was a choice.
Yeah, because if you're a Whitney fan, and even a peripheral Whitney fan, none of this is new.
No.
Whatsoever. Or
I was
enlightening.
I was disappointed. I would not recommend sitting for 41 minutes. Anything else?
No.
Bye.
Bye.